coming out tonight. This is a pretty good turnout for a first night. We've been working pretty hard on trying to get this program together for the last 6 months. Hopefully, this will be a good start to what we hope to be a bigger and better thing in the time to come. The Booster Club has been pretty instrumental in getting this going with the Oswego Community Hospital and Avera Institute out of Sioux Falls. We got Dave Hopper here, who is the strength and conditioning coach for Washington High in Sioux Falls. He's a Newell Fonda, Iowa kid from his roots, and I'm going to hand it over to him. If you have any questions, you can interrupt him and ask him. He just soon take questions as they're on your mind, as opposed to wait till the end. So I'll hand it over to Dave, and he can kind of give you instruction and guideline as to what we're trying to do here with this new program. Thank you.
All right, I'm probably just going to keep this mostly informal, so if you want to interrupt me, ask questions, go for it, because I do a lot better when it's just give and take. If you guys have questions about this, it's a new change. I hope it's something that's positive in the future. I know for Washington, it's helped a lot. I just want to share my experience over the last 3 years at Washington, kind of how I've done things, and I've learned from my mistakes, and I've made plenty of them. Every damn day I make mistakes, but learn from them, move on, get better, right? I always ask consistency from all my kids. So, I mean, the first time I was there, I just wanted to make sure as I got into the weight room, I didn't change everything. I didn't completely revamp it. I just kind of slid in. I made little adjustments here and there, slowly changed stuff. When I got in, I tried to have a different program for every single sport, every single athlete. Just tried to cater to all their needs, thinking that they're college athletes, that they need specification. They don't need specialization. High school athletes just need to be consistent and show up in the weight room and day in, day out, just put in the hard work and have some sort of guidance. So over the last couple of years, I've just put together in-season, off-season programs. So yesterday, if you're in the weight room, and Jordan was in yesterday and Jared was in yesterday, today, just shouting at me, watching. Yesterday I had my football group in, and we also are getting ready for state powerlifting. So we had half our group finding openers for squat and bench, just kind of getting ready for state powerlifting, and we also had half our football guys running their off-season program. We had about 60 kids in the weight room, and our weight room is smaller than your guys' weight room. I'm just letting you know right now. Like, your guys' weight room is awesome, and there should be no reason why it isn't full. Your weight room is probably twice the size of our weight room, and we had 60 kids in there. I have it broken up then for the off-season program, where we have a block 0 program, a block 1, a block 2, and a block 3. And that just means their training level. If my freshmen are brand new lifters, I just want them coming in doing a block 0. It's a safe program, but it has the same qualities as block 3. So yesterday was a squat day. I had them back squatting, my block 3 guys, and they're going 3 by 3, working up to 90% of their max, and they're revving out the last set. But my freshmen or my young guys, I want them just staying safe. I don't want them necessarily maxing out. Maybe if they're learning to squat, they're goblet squatting. They're doing a regression, an easier exercise, but they're following a similar protocol. And then you come in today and you see my volleyball group, and they do the exact same program as the football group. They may modify on the pull-ups, because maybe as volleyball girls, they're not repping out as many pull-ups as the football guys. Maybe they're not hitting the 10 pull-ups, maybe they're hitting 3. I'm fine with that. They have to start somewhere. But my volleyball group, and then follows the volleyball group, is my soccer group. They do the exact same program as my football group. When we get to the in-season, I might make some modifications based on sport. Maybe I don't want my volleyball ladies or the baseball guys going overhead as much. Try to, whatever is the injury for that sport, I'll try to modify. But for off-season, high school athletes at this age, they just need to get in, they need to be consistent, they need to just they need to work on all these motor programs. They need strength, speed, mobility. They need just the general basic base of athleticism, and And that's all I really want from my athletes. My football group, they know if they are to, I guess every group. I was just texting volleyball girls. Two of my seniors missed their workouts. They ended up contacting me asking if they could come in and make it up on Friday. So they know if they miss, they need to get that lift made up. They just know that they need to be consistent. And that was one of the harder things when I first got into Washington was football was already established. I mean, I think they have 42 state championships. That's the most in the nation. So that was already established. The other sports, they needed to work on that. Volleyball, my first year, they didn't even join the program. Like, once they got a new coach, he bought in. They've been my second best group. My volleyball girls are by far like the best group of females that I work with, and they're probably better than any group of guys that I work with outside of football. I mean, I've seen girls. I just had a girl, I think it was last week, squat about 225 for volleyball, and she made it look easy. So we have girls that are strong. We have girls that are athletic. I mean, they start 8th grade usually, and it's just a way of life there. So it's just something that I know my first year, we had a couple stud basketball players on the girls team, and they weren't bought in. They didn't appreciate, like who's this short, bald guy that's telling me I have to do lifting in the season? Well, I mean, I'm trying to help you, but they never bought in. But then when the 8th graders came in, they're like, oh, this is how it's done. This is how it works. And now they're turning into like juniors, and they're the ones that are being leaders, and they're the ones that it just feeds on itself. And that's what's helped me out is just being consistent every day, just constantly, having a standard and making sure the kids live up to that standard. And like I said, I ran into a lot of bumps my first year. There were certain kids that this wasn't the way they did it, so they pushed back. And they were like, well, we're good already as is. We don't need to get better. We don't need to put in extra work. Why do we need to be here for 30 minutes a day or 60 minutes? It makes no sense to me. But then they eventually graduated, and then the young girls or the young guys, that this became constant for them. And I still work on, I'm in year 3 now, and I'm still trying to get other programs to buy in. Like, I get the cheer girls and gymnastics girls to come in, usually during the fall and summer, but then the rest of the year they kind of take some time off. So we try to work all our programs. Like, I work with the soccer team, girl and boy. I work with cheer, gymnastics, dance, football, both basketball, volleyball. So if you're an athlete at Washington and track, and you should be lifting, and they know that. And I'm just saying that if you guys want to improve, then you would starting in the weight room is probably the first place you want to do that. That's where our head coach tells all our guys for football, it starts right now in the weight room. We took, I think after winning our 3rd straight championship this year, we took 1 week off, and they were back in. And they've had, they do Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and they haven't had a day off since. And I remember I had a freshman my first year, in the 2nd year there, and he asked, how long do I have to work out with you? Like, I want to do something with a private coach. I'm like, I have you for the next 4 years, so you better get used to it. And that's just the way it is. So, they haven't had a day off. They won't have a day off basically until leading up to August, and we'll give them a little time off before the season starts. And they're fine with that. Usually when I give them time off, they lose their mind, and they sneak into the weight room anyways, and I have to yell at them and chase them off. So, it's just, and I don't do anything special. There's nothing special I do. It's very easy to make high school kids strong. It's just, you have to be consistent. It gets harder when you get into the Olympic, the elite athletes, the college athletes. Then you may have to do something more special. But when you're high school athletes, the easiest thing to do is get strong. And it may not happen after 1 week. It may not happen after 2 weeks. It will take probably 2, 3, 4 months of consistency for you to start seeing changes. And then year after year, you're going to be like, wow, why didn't I do this earlier? And what my favorite thing I do at Washington is, even now I have a couple of seniors, I guess we call them seniors now, but they're juniors. They're in their junior year of high school. And the season ended, and they were some of the kids that were like, wow, they're not even going to make the team next year. They're pains in the butt. They don't buy into the weight room. They talk bad about their teammates. But then all of a sudden the season ended. They didn't get enough playing time. Next thing I know, they're in the weight room, and they're some of my hardest workers. And it makes me so happy. That's probably my happiest moment as a coach, is just seeing that. like 3 rings, that's awesome, but just seeing every day a kid, like, they're just a pain in the butt as freshman, sophomore, junior, and then freshman, senior year, something clicks, and all of a sudden I just see him grinding every day and just busting his tail every day. And I can tell you right now, his name's Brennan, and I see him every day, and he's working his tail off, and his friends always joke, like, well, what would have happened if you had done this as a freshman, and a sophomore, and a junior? Like, you wasted 3 years. Why did you waste 3 years? And sometimes it takes 4 years for kids to buy in, but that's just what's the beauty of, like, I've been there long enough and consistent enough to where they've just slowly bought in. And I'm not gonna, I mean, I had a lot of pushback too, because when I got in, every single coach ran their own separate program. But now every coach that I work with is like, well, you do this so much simpler than we did. We really overthought this. Our kids were in the weight room for about an hour and a half at a time, and I did 20 different exercises, and we had so many injuries. I'm like, I just want...
If I can interrupt, talking about an hour and a half, how long does it take to run a cycle of kids through it?
I would say my football guys, because they're a bigger group, they're probably about 60 minutes, and my volleyball group would be about, they started at 3:20 today, and they were done at 4 o'clock. And my soccer group is probably my smallest group I'm going right now. They are 4 o'clock till about 4:30, and then when I have in-season athletes, like football, they will do their lift before practice, and that was, they get in right after school when the bell rings at 3:05, and they're done before like 3:35, and my basketball group for in-season is about 20 minutes. They get the meat and potatoes in, and they just do maybe 3 to 6 exercises, and then I get them going to practice, or they do it after practice, so not that long.
So at the longest, maybe an hour?
During the summer, the longest would be an hour and like 15 minutes for my football guys, but during the season and school year, it is an hour longest usually. So.
And then how many kids would run through that program in that amount of time?
60 kids, and then if you, 60, 40 kids, maybe about like 20 for the volleyball crew, maybe sometimes anywhere from 10 to 25 soccer. My basketball group is freshman through senior. There'd be, I'd say, 30 to 40 kids in the basketball team. But football, I mean, and I come in the mornings too every day, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So we do a 6 or 6:30 workout. And once track hits, I just told the guys my expectations for when track hits. We plan on having most of our football guys do track. So then I plan on having every single one of them lift in the morning. And last year, I told them how happy I was that I knew how dedicated they were. Was when track hit, my morning groups turned into 15 to 20 kids, blew up to about 40 kids that showed up. They were there at 5:30 in the morning, 6 o'clock, and they showed up at 6 o'clock and they got a workout in and they're done at 7. And school starts at 8 o'clock and they got enough time to shower, eat breakfast, do a little bit of extra homework. I don't want them in the weight room for an extended amount of time. I know they have outside stuff in their life. I know they have important stuff. They have schoolwork, they have a social life. I want them to get better though. And so then just by being consistent for 30 minutes to 60 minutes, 3 times a day, 3 times a week, twice a week. My volleyball and soccer group right now is only going Tuesday, Thursday. They started off twice a week, and then once summer hits, they'll go 3 times a week. Once summer hits, my football group will go 4 times a week. And the one day out of the week, I end up doing competitions and just try to keep it fun and light for them, but 3 days of heavy lifting, and I'm asking maybe 4 hours out of their summer just to, help them out.
With regards to, you talk about accountability, kids buying into it. Other than the physical aspect of, do you see a difference in their attitude or their confidence level?
Yeah, I see. I know, especially with the girls, it was the hardest thing for me to do was kind of get them to let them know how strong they are. And I know they always like, oh, I'm going to get too bulky or too big or too. That's not the case. I can guarantee you that. I know, I've had girls talk to me like, oh, you work out all the time. Do you feel good when you work out? Because I always feel good after my workouts. I'm like, yeah, I love working out. I do it 6 times a week, and it's just my morning ritual. It's how I start my day. I feel better. I know I've had the girls be like, yeah, I love coming here. I feel better. I feel more confident. The guys, I already know that they're addicted to the weight room, where I have to, usually the workout, I'll never program or put an arm workout in the workout for my football guys, because they'll stay after and do buys and tries and work on the guns for 30 minutes after I kick them out of the weight room. So they'll stay around and just linger for 20, 30 minutes. And most kids during their off days, so Tuesday, Thursdays are the off days for my football guys, our seniors will come in and they'll help me run the weight room. And they'll help me at 11 o'clock with my freshman group, because during the summer, I don't have my freshmen lift with the older kids. They get a beginner's program, they get introduced slowly. I don't want them hurt, I don't want them basically being thrown to the fire of the woods. I want them introduced slowly so they know what they're doing. But I have usually about 8 to 9 seniors that walk around our 80 freshmen, and they kind of help them, show them how to be warriors, how they compose themselves in the weight room. So then during the summer they do that. But even on Tuesday, Thursdays during the school year, they have to wait usually 30, 40 minutes for the parking lot to clear. So then they'll just come to the weight room and they'll take attendance for me. They'll help monitor some of the young kids. They'll just basically help coach, and that's kind of one of the other happiest things that I've done is over 3 years now, I've had these kids that are turning into seniors, and they're basically mini coaches now where they are able to help each other out. And our coaches always believe in the best teams are the ones that actually are player-led, and we make our players accountable, and they end up basically feeding off each other and then treating the younger kids with respect, and they end up helping them, and then it just, as the young kids become older, they end up basically paying forward, and that kind of really helps our program out as well. We already have, I'd say, once basketball ends, we'll have about 20 8th graders join the morning program as well, and they'll start lifting with the football team just because they know how important it is, and they want to get a head start on their friends, and then they get a better time in the summer, so they can kind of pick and choose their summertime instead of that 11 o'clock time, which a lot of kids don't like. So we'll have about 20 8th graders just join our program in about a month. So
We have a question over here.
I have a question, so during game season, track season, I coach track, so we have Monday, Friday meets, lifting in the morning on those game nights, track meet nights. How can we do that? Having them get in 3 times a week when you have.
in season, I just want twice a week, and it's like 30 minutes. So I work with the coaches I'll see the coaches all the time. So I give the players an option to where if they want to show up in the morning, they can. Awesome. If they're a morning person, go for it. But then also with our track, I'll work with because the way we do it at Washington is we usually have a head coach, and then he gives all the responsibility to the jumper coach and the sprint coach and the throwing coach. So the throwing coach, they already schedule their workouts with me Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Our sprinters will schedule workouts with me, and then jumpers will schedule workouts with me, and we'll work around their meet schedule. Throwers will go 3 times a week. Sprinters and jumpers will be twice a week. And if they can get it in the morning, and then they don't have to worry about staying after practice or before practice, they get more time to practice. So it's kind of a way to incentivize it for us was, if you show up at 6:30 and get like a 30-minute workout in, then you get more time to practice. But if not, then maybe we'll take 20 minutes out of that practice time and either do it at the end of practice or do it at the beginning of practice as a warm-up. You have to usually warm up the kids anyway, so I usually will just have them lift for 20 minutes, and that kind of serves as a warm-up as well. But like I said, for in-season, I only shoot for even my football group twice a week. So, and with sports like track and basketball and volleyball, where games are all over the place, I work with the coaches ahead of time, like weeks ahead of time, to let's plan on this day to lift, let's plan on this day to lift. If they have a really hard game though, and maybe they're fried and they have a heavy day running, the coach will let me know, hey, can you modify this lift? Can we just make sure? But I also have a kid he's going to Iowa next year to play football, and he's also in the middle of basketball season, and he wakes up every day at 6 o'clock, and he does 3 days a week of the football workout. And so it's kind of one of those things where you get used to it showing up in the morning, but if some kids just don't want to show up in the morning, we have times after school to where we can get them in. And usually my basketball workouts take 20, 25 minutes. It's literally get in, the workout's posted, I tell them what to do, what I expect from them I talk for 2 minutes, and then it's get going, so then they can get out.
There's a lot of medium weights then for them, because if they do, for track, if you do it you can't do it on the day of the meet, and not too heavy right before the meet. So
You can go, what hurts athletes is it is volume. Volume, eccentric movement, so maybe the lower end of the weight. So like if I have them deadlift, I want them to drop the bar. I don't want them to do eccentric, so the lengthening of the muscle. I don't want them doing high volume. I'm not going to have them do 5 sets of something. Maybe I'll have them do 2 sets of 3, and I want them hitting like 80% of their max. It's also, I don't want them maybe at a rate of perceived exertion, like maybe at 10 out of 10, like, oh, I can only do this 3 reps. I don't really want them every single set hitting 3 reps at 100% of their max. I would tell them, all right, 80%, that's something you can do 8 times. I want you to lift that explosively now 3 times. And I want you to be dynamic, and I want you to be an athlete. And then there will be some days though, all right, I want you to hit a 3 RM or a 5 RM. I won't ever have them go below 2 reps on in-season lifting, and that's usually just for power cleans. Like we've been doing hang cleans for my basketball guys, and I have them going 3 sets of 2, and it's probably at about like 70 to 80% of their max, and I just want them to really work on firing their hips and being explosive and dynamic. And it's not so much the heavy weights as it is the volume. If I ask them to do that 8 sets, and I want them to do 5 reps at like 85% of their max, which 85% usually comes out to like a 5 rep max, then that's killing them, and that's where they get that soreness. And it's just a matter of being smart enough and knowing how to program. And I've talked to coaches all the time where I see them like, all right, so we had a hard in-seated game, they played O'Gorman, they lost, they're tired. How about, instead of doing back squat, we'll goblet squat, or I'll have them do lunges, or we'll work around, I'll change the exercise selection, or maybe I'll cut a set out. I work with the coaches. I mean, I know with the football group though, they end up buying in enough to where I never have to really modify it for them. I also just provide the same block where I go 0, 1, 2, and 3 for base. Like if they're brand new lifters, maybe they shouldn't be back squatting, and maybe they should be goblet squatting because it might fry them for a track meet. So then they would just do the block 0, a goblet squat, do 5 reps of that, 10 reps of that, and it's not going to really hurt them at all. So
Since this is a beginner program, or probably be a lot of beginners and younger kids, obviously you're not going to be here, but Jordan and Jared are going to be here. Will they be giving instructions to the kids as to how to lift and what lift they'll be doing?
Yeah, I could actually walk through real fast, and if they want to answer the question too, I'll just talk about what I do with my freshman group. And I've kind of been telling them this is probably the best approach, but when I first start with my freshman group, it is very much almost like a military thing where I want them just in line so I can kind of see them. I want to just be able to do stuff on tempo, like, all right, we're going to do squats, push-ups, lunges, body weight, hold a plank, bridges, just the very basic stuff. So I can see their form. We'll do that for about 2 to 4 weeks. Then we'll get them in the weight room, and I'll get them under a bar, and we'll go through like just the basics, like the squat, the bench, the deadlift. I'll slowly introduce some dynamic pulling, so like hang clean, power clean, I'll slowly introduce that. But then even an empty bar, I'll have my freshmen come in. On my count, I'm like under the bar, on racket, 1 step, 2 step, 3 step. Then I tell them to brace or make sure they're tight, their core's ready. Then I tell them down, up, down, up, down. I mean, it'll be on my count while they're doing that. They need to prove themselves. It's usually about 8 weeks is my beginners program. And then once they get to this school year, I kind of can trust them now to work in with the other athletes, but they still are going to probably be on that block 0, block 1 group where I want them for the first 2 years kind of just working themselves into just bigger athletes, honestly, stronger athletes were. So,
What makes a program successful?
consistency. That's it. It's simple as that, just consistency. I just had one of my old athletes who's becoming a strength coach at DWU, so Dakota Wesleyan, and he had a project, and he had me basically a bunch of questions where he asked me just questions on why I coach and what's my favorite moment, and then the very last question is how do you define success? And honestly, it's just literally consistency. I don't care if my athletes win championships. It's high school. Like, I just want them to be better humans. I want them to be consistent. I want them to show up, take responsibility and ownership. So that's how I define success and what makes our program really work.
first want to start off by just saying, we want to build a culture here, and a good atmosphere here, improve the athletics here, the camaraderie that comes with that, the friendships and all that stuff. That's something I look forward to helping out with, and obviously, getting the athletics to a point where, we're beating our rivals. We're being really competitive with the field. That's something that I look forward to contributing to. It basically comes back to the culture. We want to, have everybody be consistent. It comes, from the parents, the kids. We need everybody to buy in, be consistent. It's just like showing up to your everyday job. If you can buy in and show up to, your training sessions and stuff like that, there will be results. There will be improvement. You just got to trust us. We will do what we need to do on our end. We'll show up every day, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday at least, to help you guys out and, advance the athletics and the hope that you guys show up to and have accountability, and we can develop this program together. Is there any questions? Anything?
Are you gonna have like a board or anything up with the exercises they need to, if they happen to miss like a Monday and wanna make it up on a Tuesday? Is there gonna be information in there that they
Yeah,
can
so
follow?
I'm making workouts. I'm working on that stuff right now. So, we'll get that tutorial and some of that stuff. We'll get that out there. And if somebody misses too, I'll have my cell phone number available for people that can, if they want to meet with me and find a different time to train. That's something I can do. That's something I can try to work out. So yeah, we're trying to make that work for sure. So you can put those workouts in there. So you guys have Team Builder too, which is an app that you can have on your phone. You can get your workouts through that too as well. So that's one way to do it. You can kind of keep track of your workouts and your progress and some of that stuff through that. So that's. But yeah, as far as if you miss a training session and stuff like that, and you want me to kind of guide, the athlete through it, that's certainly something I can do, or something that Jared can do as well. So, yep.
So if we have a school computer, we can put it on there.
Say that again.
If we have a school computer, can we put it on there?
Yeah. Yes.
Can Team Builder go on school computers? The answer is yes.
Yep.
Are you gonna have any agility with this?
Absolutely. We'll have combination of strength, conditioning, all that stuff. If we just did strength, we miss out on conditioning. If we just did conditioning, we miss out on strength. So we want to do, we want to put everything into it for sure. Anything else?
You're talking a lot about high school right now. What about our junior high?
Yeah, absolutely. So, just in general, we'll start them with kind of the beginners program and kind of guide them. Obviously, they'll probably start on kind of the lower end beginners part of things. Even with high schoolers too. We're just kind of getting to know everybody, so we kind of got to get a gauge of where everybody's at. You could have a seventh grader that's at the same stage as a sophomore in high school. Everybody kind of develops differently. So it's as time goes on, we'll kind of gauge where everybody's at. So we move from all levels, of course. We don't want to get in the way of their development. We want to help it for sure. So it's something we'll continue to work with. And just got to bear with me a little bit too. The first couple of weeks, it'll be just kind of mainly getting to know the athletes and what levels they're at and stuff. And then as time goes on, I think we can maybe make some changes. Maybe put certain athletes in different levels and stuff and get that figured out going forward.
I just found out you guys were doing like a beginner program like that, and that's awesome because we can't even do that really at Sioux Falls. Besides some of our 8th graders, just through word of mouth, know that hey, there's this hopper guy that's in the morning, we can probably do that before school and we want to get ready for football. But in a dream scenario, I would be in at like 6th, 7th, 8th grade, and I would just teach them body weight stuff, just the basics for 3 years and just hammer it in. And so then when they get to be freshmen, they're up and running for 4 years of just strength program. But like I said, I just heard that you guys are doing the junior high program, and that's something that's awesome too, where I would just do body weight stuff and they just learn the fundamentals and learn the basics. And so then by the time they're ready to be in high school, they don't have to have their hand held. So I just thought that was a cool thing that I just heard, so I wanted to add on to that.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, you know, we'll preach accountability, obviously, and showing up to each session. You know, I hope that we have kids that reach out to me if they miss a session, you know, that, you know, we can make that up. And on top of that, you know, just being consistent. I think, you know, maybe 4 years from now, you know, your 8th graders or your freshmen, they're teaching the younger ones, you know, I think that's part of the culture that you can build, that, you know, eventually, you know, your juniors and seniors, they become kind of the leaders of the group too. You know, that's a big part of it. And, you know, I will certainly oversee things, Jared will oversee things, we'll lead that too, but it's always great to have students that can become leaders as well, you know, and I think that's good for the camaraderie and the chemistry and stuff for each individual. So, yeah. Want a microphone?
No, I don't want microphone. You're all loud enough.
Give him a lot of people that sit there
I'm
all day
saying
long.
amen about every 2 minutes back here. I thought that Baptist Bible. I was very fortunate. I came from a situation that was culturally involved in the weight room. And I've seen great improvements. I've seen those little skinny kids develop and have pride in themselves, not just in the weight room, but in school. They carry themselves better. I think you've seen that after in your years there. It's not going to work unless the parents get behind it and don't make excuses, and the coaches get behind it and don't make excuses. And I'm telling you, there's no simple formula. And then what happens is exactly what he says. After a year or two, the players hold each other accountable. And that's when you're going to be successful on the field or on the court or on the diamond. Because then they hold each other accountable and it's not excuses. That's my opinion after 30-some years of coaching. Take it for its worth. We had athletes very similar to what they have to Bill Cheat. They had to make themselves better. And just making excuses, that's the thing I've run into, not blaming, not pointing fingers, pointing at myself. Is, well, you know, I'm working at home. Well, how did that work out for you? I'm working out at home. I always like that one. And yeah, I think we talked about it before, you know, it never, you said it in there. So, again, when he said, I'm sitting there going, amen, amen, amen. You know, you can't, and to allow the middle school, we allowed our middle schools to live. And God, those are the ones we had the most of. It's like Freeman daycare. We had come in 11.
Well, I'll say too that the athletes here are no different than the athletes in Hall.
Yeah.
Boyd, or Versus Center, and Rock Valley, and they all have really, really good programs. The athletes aren't any different, so it comes down to hard work and the training and stuff like that. And I know everybody wants to be Western, so.
I got a question. As far as like the pre-workout drink or proteins of any of that nature, are you looking at more, you guys, as far as in Washington, are you doing that along the side as far as with the lifting program?
When it comes to nutrition or any of that stuff, I can't actually give advice on that. My advice always for kids is supplements. Supplements the important stuff. So it's in the word. So it supplements what you really need. So I just tell them to actually get off the McDonald's, get off the BK, and actually eat an actual healthy meal. And if they want to, when they're getting close to college, and they maybe want to get some whey protein or something, maybe even that, I'm not even supposed to suggest that. I'm not a registered dietitian. I'm not supposed to even give a suggestion on that. I just want them to be healthy. I tell them to do 8 hours of sleep, eat what they need to eat, and make sure they're actually, you know, getting off Fortnite or whatever the kids play nowadays. So.
Yeah, I mean, in general, I think everybody has an idea of what healthy eating consists of. You know, you get done with the workout, you go home, and, you know, have some chicken breast with some vegetables, and that's a good meal, and it's good, you know, protein and everything that you need there. You know, and it helps your body grow for sure.
It'll be nice to see, to get some of the girls involved too. You know, get to sometimes and try to get them away from a little bit.
That's my like happiest moment is seeing like the volleyball group grow. They're like some of my favorite groups to work with, and they basically walk around. Because what I loved about after my first year at Washington, got sick of doing up downs because they got sick of me cleaning the weight room. So then they knew exactly where everything was supposed to be put away. So the seniors would make laps around the weight room before we brought it in and broke it down. Now I see volleyball girls, they go rack to rack to rack, and they make sure they know exactly where everything's supposed to be because they know I have OCD, it should be perfect. It needs to be put away the way I want it to be. And they do that same exact thing now. And then even during my freshman group, during the summer, I saw at 11 o'clock, I had certain volleyball girls would walk around, and they'd look, and they'd chew out their friends, like, Coach Hopper doesn't like that. And they were the ones that did all the work, and honestly, I just needed to kind of talk to them for a week, and then they kind of up and ran with it. And like I said, I love working with the volleyball group and our girls basketball group, and then all our track group too. They're team athletes. They don't realize how strong they can be. So, in the summer, I had a girl, they had no idea how much weight was actually on the bar, and they deadlifted 225 pounds. I'm like, how much was that? We've only ever done 180 pounds. I'm like, how much do you think it was? Like, well, was it about 200? I'm like, no, it's 225. I'm like, oh my God, we did that for 3 times. I'm like, yeah, you guys are stronger than you realize. And then that was one of the things too. Like our volleyball program kind of struggled in the past, and now this year we were, I think, 1 point away from going to the championship, and we kind of choked it down, and we got 3rd place instead. But we only lost 1 senior, and I expect great things from them too. Like, I don't expect just my football group to win championships. I expect volleyball to do it, but if they don't, I'm not going to hold it against them. I want them to just be better people, better athletes, and just better human beings. And I've seen that in the 3 years I've been here. And I love working with the volleyball group. They're probably, besides football, like I said, they make my job fun. So.
Yeah, and I think I see more girls than guys here, to be honest with you, so I think we're doing all right getting that started.
During the day, I seen that there was a lot of the female athletes. They're very supportive of each other, like more than you typically see in a weight room. You know, they're cheering each other on, helping each other out, you know, with the weights and stuff, making sure everybody was doing it right, and that was pretty cool to see.
Anything else?
I'll try to make it quick. When we started this, we were just kind of looking around and seeing everybody's thinking it, everybody's talking about it, a lot of negativity, a lot of we're no good, we're never going to win, we can't compete. And so what could we do to try to help the kids get to a point where they can believe in themselves, they can compete, they can be successful? Will go beyond just any individual sport. It'll probably carry with you the rest of your life, just like school and other things, and just being good, working hard. But the big thing I think that we really need to do as a school and a community is get behind the school, the athletic, the kids, the programs, make them accountable, get them in there, get them doing the work, and they will see the progress themselves and the way they look, the way they feel, the way they compete. And that's what this is really about, is trying to get everybody together, get them on the same page, and try to make it so that our kids can get to the point where they believe in themselves, they can compete, they can change their attitude, and it'll carry with them for life.
Just same thing. He said every day, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I believe it was, for no FINA for our high school. Once you're a freshman, I think 6 o'clock workouts, every no missing, no being late, none of that. And I never missed a day in 4 years, ever. Coach Wolkin scared the crap out of me, and he still scares the crap out of me. I'm 29 years old. I'm I'm a grown man. He still intimidates me, but I still, like, besides my parents, he probably has the biggest influence on my entire life. Because he made me a better person, because he made me show up every freaking day at 6 o'clock in the morning, and just, even if I didn't want to, I knew it was just, I had to. You weren't gonna play if you were not showing up in the weight room, if you weren't with your teammates, and you weren't, like, helping each other out. And that was expected, and I never missed a day in 4 years, not once. And it was something I loved. It's something that changed my life. It's something that honestly now I'm doing, and I try to give this back to the kids every time. Like, I want them to be better. I don't care if they go D1. I don't care if they even go to play college sports. As long as this makes like a change in their life and they have more confidence and they have, maybe their grades improve and maybe they graduate and they just look back on that and they're happy about what they did. And that's exactly what high school did for me in the weight room. And I lived in the weight room and I loved it, so.
Anybody have any other questions?
Yep.
So this paper says it's a 12-week program. Are you guys to continue as the sports change to come in and try to
So the
figure out a
way,
few exercises?
The plan is, at least in talking amongst the boosters and stuff, is this is a 12-week program. This is kind of a pilot program to start it out, get as many people involved as we can, and hopefully then continue it into a summer program, which will then be a fall program. Potentially try to make it a year-round deal, as Dave had discussed what they do. Right now, though, we're trying to get it taken off, trying to get as many people buying into it, working the program, making it successful, so then we can go into summer. Hopefully the program will continue to grow, and then it'll be a in-season, out-of-season type program for the athletes and the kids. And this isn't just for student athletes. This could be for all students. Like Dave said, they have the dance team, the cheerleaders and stuff. You don't have to be a student athlete to do this program. If some kid wants to come in and learn about working out and lifting weights and getting in shape and things like that, they're more than welcome to attend. So it's not just for student athletes. It's for the entire student body. Maybe even a couple of teachers, coaches.
The reason I was asking about that is because as of right now, the weight room rule is you have to be a freshman to be in there without a coach, parent, or an adult. That's why I was asking if it was going to be more than just the 12 weeks.
Okay, did you say what, freshmen?
Yeah, freshman and up, so we're looking at.
Well, the 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, when they are in there, I'm assuming the programs are going to be set up where Jordan and Jared, or either one or the other, is going to be running the program.
But I guess what she's saying is what happens till 6, 7, and 8, they're after the 12 months.
Well, during the summer, they can go into the summer program as well.
The hope is too, though, like if there's enough buy-in, that these guys will be here more than just 12 weeks. It'd be something, I live at Washington, like that's my full-time job, is their strength coach, and that's what I do. And so then between these two is that hopefully maybe on like 3 times a week, that this could be something that cultivates and grows as everyone buys in. And like I said, there's always going to be bumps in the road, so I don't want people to just give up on it after 12 weeks if it doesn't go the way they thought it was. I mean, just even to get physical adaptations for an old, like a kid, you need to be in the weight room for about 6 weeks. The first like 5 weeks of changes is all neuromuscular. It's not even physical change. So 12 weeks is not even a long time for a program. It is a way of life. And so then, basically, if you guys buy in and there's enough positive feedback, the goal would be to have these guys be here year in, year out, is what he was trying to say. So for the guys that aren't 8th graders, aren't freshmen, hopefully then that 12 weeks goes well and they can keep making progress and keep coming in and out. That's just what I think he was trying to talk about.
So essentially, just to kind of clarify, the whole thing is essentially based on time. There's people not showing up. There's no sense in having you guys stay there when nobody's coming in. So I think it starts started as 12 weeks as kind of like a trial or a pilot, and hope that we get some turnout, and this turnout continues to force us to.
Yep, I mean, it's, I don't know who like pays your paycheck, but like you said, if they're standing in the weight room getting paid 2 hours a day to do nothing, then it doesn't make sense for their employers. But if they have a bunch of kids in there, there's positive feedback and there's good vibes in the community. I mean, right now, I don't even get paid by Washington, I get paid by Avera. And so then, but we end up having like a symbiotic relationship where some of my athletes will go to Avera's like sports institute and work out. It's just, it's like there's a lot of athletes that come that way, so they end up, they can afford to pay me to be at Washington. But if these guys come here, and in 12 weeks there's only maybe a handful of kids, it maybe wouldn't make sense for them to be in the weight room for year round. But if there's great buy-in in 12 weeks and you see improvement after week, then this is something that I would love to see grow. And I've given these guys my email, my phone number. I would love to be able to kind of help when I can, help this program grow. I mean, my goal in life is like now to kind of like not only help Washington, but help other small communities have like a program that I had in my high school. I mean, I only had my football coach, and he kind of went to BV University and just grabbed their football workout, and then he basically told us to do it. And he wasn't the greatest at teaching form or any of that, but he was great at creating culture and making us be there and like love one another and actually like be a team. And that's something that I would love to help smaller communities have. And even Mitchell, South Dakota, they just got a strength coach. I drove over to Mitchell for about 3 hours and just talked shop with him and just wanted to know how things were going with him and how he planned on, developing this program. He came to Washington, I gave him a tour. We talked for a couple hours and just kind of what I've done and what I've learned and how many mistakes I've made in 3 years. Like I said, I'm bound to make plenty more. And I want to communicate with more strength coaches that are in the high school setting. Because right now I can communicate with Zach Mathers, who's at USF, or other coaches that are in college setting, but they're not dealing with the same thing that high school strength coaches are dealing with. It's a different environment. So the more people that are in high school strength weight rooms, the better it is for me even. So I would love to even, like, when I can, be able to help out as well. So, but I trust these guys will get the job done as well.
As a booster club, we want to see you guys have success. And this is one way that we can help you guys have success, but you have to be accountable.